Everyone, it's Miss Tyree, and I'm going to show you how I would approach a few introductions and design in Tinkercad. So when you first log in, you're going to see this screen. Anytime you want to get back to the screen, you can click on this rainbow Tinkercad logo and it will take you back. But when you start a new project, you're going to hit Create New Design. And just so you can understand the workspace, this is the work plane. This is what you will print on in Tinkercad. These are all the different shapes that you can pull out. Okay. This is an additional work plane you could pull out to put on top of another shape. That's more of an advanced feature we'll talk about in a different video. The ruler is also an advanced feature, but it helps you line up your work. And then let me pull a shape out so I can show you a couple basics. When you pull a shape out, you've got the ability to change the height, width, and depth, as well as move it up and down off of the work plane. So for example, if I want to make it 40 by 40, I just stretch it to 40 by 40. And if you can't get it just right, sometimes I have problems getting it just right, you can click in these boxes and make it the number you want. Also, you can adjust the height. So again, this is the height adjustment. So you click on it and drag it up or down. And then this actually moves it off the work plane. So let me show you. This is one of my favorite tools over here. This is the view. So if I move this around, I get different views. And it's really important to be able to see that your object is on the work plane. If you move it up off of the work plane and you try to 3D print it, there's nothing that the 3D printer can attach it to, so it won't print correctly. Okay, so you always want to have at least one object down on 0 on the work plane. Also, you don't want to push it through in a negative number. So that's why I like to visually look at things from this view so I can kind of see and make sure that I'm not above or below the work plane. So now I can adjust and look at it from the top again. I can zoom in, zoom out over here. And then one other feature I wanted to share with you real quickly is the idea of creating a hole. So a lot of the things, remember what we said, it's an additive, 3D printing is additive, but sometimes you need to create something by creating a hole within the shape. So for example, we have two shapes that are already holes, but you can turn any shape into a hole. So I'm going to show you, even though there's already one that's a hole, I'm going to pull it out onto the work plane and I'm going to put it inside of my red square. So I can see I am inside, and if I want to test that, I can move this up and down, and I want that on 0 as well on the work plane. Doesn't really matter how tall it is because I'm going to turn it into a hole. So once I group these objects, the red square and the orange cylinder, they're going to be one. So that is what creates the hole. So right now it's just a red rectangular pyramid or prism with an orange cylinder in it. If I want to group it, I like to look at it from the top, and I'm not really sure if that's centered. In fact, it doesn't look centered to me at all. So I'm going to draw a box, an imaginary box around this. And it can tell you that there's two shapes selected. You always want to kind of pay attention over here to make sure that these shapes are actually the ones you selected. So sometimes if you've selected more than two, it'll say 4 or 5. Just that's an indication of how many you have selected. So, really important feature in 3D printing is making sure everything's aligned. So I'm going to click on the align button, and this is what will allow me to center. So I can center here, and I can center here. And it nudged it a little bit, but then I know it's perfectly centered. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to click off so I'm no longer aligning. I'm going to turn this orange figure into a hole. So I can click here where it says hole. And now it won't become an actual hole until I group it. So you're going to do the same thing you did by selecting the box, drawing the box around it so the two objects are selected. And you're going to go up, not to align, but over to group. And once I group it, it's a hole. So there you have it.